All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting lecture for international business. And today we're going to take a look at Canada's major trading partners. Who do we trade with? Right? I know you guys have a pretty good idea, but we're going to go through the number of them that Canada does trade with. So make sure you get your pen and paper, follow the STORM philosophy for note taking, sit back and enjoy. Alright, so what are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to identify those objectives of who does Canada look to trade with, the current state of Canada's trade, and the top 10 trading partners for Canada. So the first question really is, who does Canada look to trade with, right? Who is Canada looking for to achieve some sort of trade relationship with? The question is a very complex question that has a number of answers to this. Canada looks to trade with countries out there that have large markets, right? So it has a number of people that will buy our products or businesses. They look to trade with countries that have a stable economy so we can basically ensure that the trade relationship will be lasting. Right? Canada looks to trade with countries where they need our resources and we need their resources. Right? We can't grow everything here and other countries can't grow their things there. Right? This is all about comparative advantage. We look to trade with countries that have economies that are innovative, that have some science and technology included within them so that we can learn from them and improve our own economy and so on and so forth. Right? And we also look to trade with countries where it might provide us with a little bit of a gateway to other countries. So if we trade with them, our goods and services therefore will maybe flow into other countries, which then generates greater profits, right? So businesses in Canada in general are looking to trade with all of these countries that achieve a number of those objectives. And we see this picture play out with Canada's current state of trade. These are Canada's trade statistics from last year. The top 10 export destinations and the top 10 countries where we import goods from. And you see that these countries really do represent all of those objectives that Canada wishes to satisfy through trade relationships. The United States, China, United Kingdom, Japan, right, Mexico, Netherlands, South Korea, Germany, France, and Brazil all are destinations that need our goods. The countries where we bring goods into our country here in Canada: United States, China, Mexico, Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, South Korea, Algeria, Italy, and France are all countries that provide goods that we need. Right? Through comparative and absolute advantage, we have struck these relationships. You'll see that a number of countries really do have those stable economies, have economies that are full of technology and innovation, have economies where provide a gateway to other economies or just very, very large economies such as China and the United States. Right? So all of these countries in which we trade with all achieve those objectives that Canada wishes to achieve through trade relationships. So let's take a look at Canada's major trade partners, the top 10 export destinations. United States, China, United Kingdom, Japan, Mexico, Netherlands, South Korea, Germany, France, and Brazil all provide excellent markets for our Canadian goods. And our businesses here really do try to sell a number of products to these various export destinations. So the number one trading partner, yes, is the United States. This is our major export destination, the one export destination that takes a 70% roughly of our exported goods. Why? Well, it has the largest economy in the world. $15.684 trillion is generated in GDP every year in the economy. Right? They have 300 million people, which is a lot, but again, that calculates to over $51,000 in GDP per capita. They're a wealthy country. They own the largest share of the global economy, and therefore we sell our products into their economy because they have such a large market with lots of money flowing around. They are known for a number of exports and a number of imports, and they provide an excellent opportunity for Canadian goods. Number 3 is the United Kingdom. And yes, the old Commonwealth connection between Canada and the United Kingdom still reigns true. It does have a large population, almost twice the size of Canada, and a very large GDP of 2.375 trillion. Right? Their share of the global economy is also quite large, as far as 3.3% goes. And really the connection has a long-standing history, has to do with the long-standing history between Canada and the United Kingdom. But they still need a number of our resources, and we still need a number of theirs, and therefore the trade relationship still is in existence. Number 4, Japan. How they get 127 million people on that small island nation is beyond me. But they do, and they generate a heck of amount of money. Their GDP of 5.959 trillion translates to a very wealthy country. They own a considerable chunk of the global economy, 8.2%, not as large as it once was, but still considerably large. And really the connection there is the idea of Japan being a very, very good market and for resources, and they produce a number of electronic and technological resources that we need. Number 5 is Mexico, the other NAFTA partner that we have. Population of 107 million, GDP which is slightly under $1 trillion, which is not exactly what you'd expect from a population that size, and therefore their GDP per capita is fairly low. They own a chunk of the global economy, not a large one, but it's considerable, 1.3%. Again, they are a country with a lot of people. They can manufacture a number of goods at very low wage rates. So, therefore, we have struck a considerable trade relationship with Mexico in terms of providing them resources, importing a number of manufactured goods that we need, and therefore the trade relationship, it continues to work. Number 6 might surprise you. Yes, it's the Dutch, the Netherlands. And so with a very small population, they generate a huge amount of money in their marketplace. It takes a considerable chunk of the global economy. Any country that takes over a percent of the global economy is a major player in the world. And really, I'm surprised that we actually trade more than just tulips back and forth, but we do. We trade exports in terms of machinery and equipment, and we import a number of other goods such as fuels and food products and clothing from them. Number 7, South Korea. Don't confuse it with North Korea. No, way different. But a population of 48 million generates over $1 trillion in their GDP, and they are a very wealthy market. Again, they take a share of the global economy of 1.5%. They are a nation that produces a number of electronics and machinery and oil and steel. They've become a major steel player around the world, and transport equipment and so on and so forth. And therefore, they are looking for goods or resources that can add into their manufacturing processes, such as semiconductors and wireless telecommunications. Number 8, Germany. Yes, the large market that is in the middle of the European Union. A large population of 81 million and a huge GDP of 3.39 trillion, translating to a fairly wealthy market yet again, and a share of the global economy of 4.7%. They're a nation that manufactures a number of motor vehicles that you guys are, I'm sure, all familiar with, and machinery, equipment, chemicals, and all sorts. They import a number of things such as machinery and data processing equipment and other resources they need for their economy. Number 9, La France, or just France. But anyways, a population of 65 million is sizable for such a sized country, and a GDP of 2.6 trillion is also very sizable. They take a share of the global economy of roughly 3.6%. They export a number of machinery and equipment, aircraft and plastics and chemicals, importing again machinery and motor vehicles, oil, aircraft, plastic, chemicals. It's always interesting to see countries that export the same goods that they import, but there are slight modifications to them, and that's why you see this kind of relationship. And number 10, to round it all off, is Brazil, one of the nations that we consider part of the BRIC. If you don't know what that is, look up BRIC to see these emerging economies that are probably poised to take over the world, Brazil being one of them. With such a large population, it's hard not to see why. Generating a GDP over $2 trillion, but again, because they have such a large population, their GDP per capita is fairly low at $12,000. There's a disparity between the rich and the poor, just like China and other emerging economies around the world, such as Russia and India. They do take a chunk of the global economy of 3%, and they export a number of things from transport equipment to iron ore, soybeans, which is one of the main reasons for the chopping down of the Amazon rainforest. But anyways, footwear, coffee, motor vehicles, and importing a number of things from machinery, transport, other things that they can use to, again, build up their infrastructure and their economy. And so what we see is Canada's world vision. We see countries around the world, or regions around the world, where Canadian businesses are looking to export. No longer are we so focused on the United States, although it still takes a huge amount of our export and therefore is a great contributor to our GDP. But we're starting to see a much more diversified trade relationship with countries all over the world, from Europe to Southeast Asia to Africa to Russia, from basically the four corners outside of North America and South America. And so we see Canada really trying to branch out and export goods to places all around the world. And who wouldn't want Canadian goods, right? Well, that brings us to the end of the lecture. So, considering all these trade relationships Canada has, these trade partners, why do we have these relationships? Why do we trade with these 10 countries? Consider their economies. Consider what they manufacture and what they export and they import. Right? Try to identify for each of these countries why Canada has struck a trade relationship up with these, why we export so many products to them. All right, so make sure your notes are in order. Make sure you follow the STORM philosophy. And that's it. That's all. That's everything. We'll see you tomorrow.